LEX 18 is sending 3 of our own to help bring one station relief. As Michael Burke reports, 2 of them have a personal connection to this story.
I lived in Houston until last year.
LEX 18 reporter Conroy DeLuce was ready to take action after a tense weekend of watching the 24/7 coverage of Harvey's path of destruction in Texas, worrying about the safety of friends and family.
My dad's trapped at his house, the house I grew up in, so it's just strange to see how close all the reporters are down there to areas that I've known for 20 years.
This morning, DeLuce, along with photojournalist Nikki Thacker and LEX 18 meteorologist Seth Phillips, left for Corpus Christi, Texas. They will be helping out our sister station in that community and taking over coverage so those crews can get a much-needed break.
I feel like I can actually do something by going down there and helping with, even if it's just helping out with the news crews down there to bring coverage to this storm, to bring awareness for what's going on.
For Phillips, helping is second nature. He was in high school when Hurricane Katrina hit his home state of Louisiana on August 29th of 2005.
Anytime I could get off of school and I had some extra hours free, I would head to the shelters. With anything I could do, processing, handing out supplies, just trying to get people back to normal as much as possible.
Phillips expects he will feel emotional when seeing the devastation from Harvey firsthand.
It really kind of sets you back a little bit and makes you understand that we are at the mercy of Mother Nature.
Today is not the day to come to Port Aransas.
And I've seen a lot of disasters in the world, and this is very bad.
When the storm come, it was supposed to be a tropical storm.
And overnight, that all changed rapidly.
And all of a sudden, they said it was a 3 and potentially a 4. And I was like, how did that happen?
Now a Category 4 hurricane. Gosh, making landfall. It's really upsetting to see that.
We've never had such winds.
I even wrote my name on my arm. I knew I might never see you in daylight.
We barricaded my kids in our bathroom because that was the safest part of the house.
We didn't know how bad the surge was going to be. That's what everybody was so worried about, the surge, the water coming in.
6 to 12-foot storm surge. It could be higher than that with a Category 4 hurricane.
We did not have any kind of communication with the outside world.
That really woke up a lot of people.
Not being able to recognize anything, I mean, it's undescribable.
This is the worst thing I've ever been through in my entire life.
And I just didn't know where I was. And that's when it really hit me that this is not the same place that I left. Coming back home and starting to see the destruction on our way in, we just totally went into work mode.
Everybody's got damage at some point.
The devastation in the trees was just unbelievable.
It may be what saved us, what saved the house, was the tree breaking the wind. I don't know.
Everything was gone, like everything was flooded and all the trees and everybody's roofs that were missing. It was just crazy.
Our RV was originally over on spot 94. During the storm, it ended up, I'm assuming, a block and a half away.
It just tore her apart. She didn't stand a chance.
I actually have water in here still. There's water coming from the wall.
That's been the hardest thing, is to see people that I've known for 20 years lose everything and still come in and say, what can I do for you? That's hard.
Oh dear. Half full, maybe. We're just distributing food, water, and ice to anyone that's still here in the disaster area. Yesterday, we did about 915 families.
And I get a call like at 3:11 and says, hey, can you mobilize some volunteers to come out here and help with the effort?
You guys feeling good, feeling motivated, ready to pass out some more goods?
Yes, sir.
Trying to get as much gas out to Port A today as we can.
Victoria, you and Samantha have a system going. Wow, that's
Absolutely. Awesome. That one's a little full. Oh, that one's a little full.
Ma'am, how are you today?
A little stressed, but I'll be okay.
We got you. You need anything else?
No, sir.
Come back if you do.
We gotta get after this line over here. We gotta have nice clean plates, nice clean plates.
The first load that we gave away, we did 2 days in Rockport and 1 day here, and that gas came from California. Thank God for all of your help out here. Thank you, everybody. We need it. We need it.
But we're a hardy lot. We'll rebuild, regroup and rebuild, and people will live here again.
We're Texans, and that's the whole deal. You know, we stand up, we stand strong, and that's what we've seen from the people of Rockport.
I can't even begin. Can't even begin to express these people that are coming into my home and saying, we got this, go take care of your people. There's no words. I can never repay that debt. Never repay that debt.
Rockport, Texas was one of the closest communities to the eye of the hurricane as it came on shore. As a Category 4 storm, sustained winds up to 130 miles per hour and gusts even higher than that. Many of the people who fled the storm had no idea what they'd be returning to. Beyond material items like family photos, houses, and property, people's livelihoods will be put on hold or even changed for good.
Very scary, first of all, like I said, that I'd lose my sentimental things, which probably aren't worth anything, but they're priceless to me.
In addition to homes damaged, we've seen mobile homes flipped over, airport hangars destroyed, and even a church missing the front facade.
Worst one in 60 years.
This is just a fraction of the entire storm damage, which is estimated to reach as high as $40 to $60 billion. Instead of days or weeks, it will likely take years of recovery, especially for communities like Rockport.
And seeing the damage of all the homes, I'm a realtor here, so you know, this will really greatly affect my livelihood. And but you know, Rockport's strong. Rebuild and move on.
But Billy brings up a pretty good point. The people of Rockport are strong, resilient, and coming together, hopefully to get back to normal sooner rather than later. Covering the news from Rockport, Texas, from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom, back to you.
In Maysville, these big rigs are pulling off a pretty big operation. Soon they'll be hauling a total of 60 mobile sleeper trailers, a good 12 hours to Texas. There'll be temporary housing for the countless relief and power crews setting up camp near Houston.
Some sleep 42. Some will sleep 36.
Mike Lundergan owns EDS, which stands for Emergency Disaster Services. It's connected to Lundy's Catering and does large-scale mobile events and natural disasters. Even Lundergan knows it could be a while before Houston recovers.
You just don't know. And you know, they'll be there as long as it takes.
Dozens of generators and mobile shower trailers are headed out too. They'll be staged in areas like Corpus Christi and Sugar Land, where it's dry, until they can move closer to help those who've lost everything.
As things, you know, power gets restored and a lot of the chaos, you know, is gone and you know, the normal stuff is coming back up, then we'll use these and leave them out there to help, you know, families and things of that nature.
Let's hope for Houston's sake that's sooner than later. Covering the news in Mason County, Lee Searcy, LEX 18 News.
We all can do something.
For Father Jim Sitchko, it's a helpless feeling watching the disaster unfold in South Texas. His hometown, Orange, Texas, is just an hour outside of Houston.
It's very emotional for me to see that, because in Texas, an hour is not far away whatsoever. And so they're our neighbors to the west, and God bless them for what they're enduring.
But today he decided to do something about that helpless feeling by offering lunch on him all the way from Kentucky.
Maybe it's part of my Italian heritage of the belief of being together and eating.
Father Jim called down to Spanky's, a local bar and grill in Orange, and said he would pay for anyone's meal from 11 to 12.
You know what I love about hometown people is no questions asked. Yes, we'll do it. No problem.
His hope is that the gesture would give people more than just a full stomach.
It seems in situations like this, people become very isolated. And when you can come together with other people who are experiencing the same thing, it brings a little bit of comfort. It brings some stability. It brings some reassurance that you're not alone.
Covering the news, Tiffany Jackson, LEX 18 News.
Everyone, everywhere, in every place in America feels horrible for what's going on in Houston. So what's happening in Eastern Kentucky is happening at a lot of places. They're trying to give back. They're trying to help. They're sending supplies that they have to Houston. And Dan McHale, the coach, feels really good because his players were eager to help.
Yeah, this is big time for me. I mean, obviously, I'm from Dallas, but I have a lot of friends and family in Houston. So Dallas didn't get affected by the hurricane, but Houston did. So I feel like what we're going to do is going to make a big difference.
This hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I've been to Houston quite a few times, playing AAU there. I've been around the area of Houston, so it's pretty dramatic.
I think it's great. I mean, obviously you've seen everything on the news, and any little bit is going to help them out. So I'm glad we're able to be a part of that and always keep them in our thoughts and prayers.
Perhaps it's ironic that EKU opens the season at Rice. Yes, that's in Texas. And these players feel terrific that they can do their part. Alan Cutler, LEX 18 Sports.
It may be blue skies here in Rockport, Texas, but for this community, the storm is still far from over. Not because of the destruction, but for the confusion. Where do we go from here, and how do we get the help that we need? Erica Fell and her two daughters chose to ride out Harvey as it bared down on Rockport, Texas.
If you look up inside the closet, there is an attic, and that's where the debris and stuff started coming down through there. So we're like, nope, can't do the closet.
She's not sure what the future holds for her family.
It's really nerve-wracking, honestly, and scary. I've had my moments where I've just started crying because I don't know what to do. Because they're not going to keep giving out ice and water forever, and we really just don't. I really don't know, honestly.
When I spoke to Erica and told her that donations across the country would be coming in, including some from Lexington, it made her eyes light up. The donations that you give at the Fayette Mall today will help communities like Rockport, hopefully, put a smile on their face. Covering the news from Rockport, Texas, from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom, back to you.
Well, the destruction around Rockport and much of this area will leave you speechless. Seeing the images on TV before coming here ourselves just did not do it justice. But there are so many people here who have come from other parts of Texas and across the country to do their part to help. Bright and early this morning, the National Guard was helping load supplies for needy families into cars.
Right there. How's it going, guys? 221.
Many people are just now returning to Rockport for the first time since Harvey left, shocked by what they see.
So much damage. I mean, so many down power lines and homes and just not livable conditions. It's really bad out here.
Thousands still don't have water or power and won't have either for weeks. This platoon from San Antonio, church volunteers, and even local grocery store HEB are trying to help. HEB has actually set up a relief kitchen, bank and pharmacy, so people who are returning to rebuild have something to start with. The relief kitchen did have to close at 7 o'clock tonight because there is a curfew in effect for the city of Rockport, but they said they'll be back tomorrow and for the next couple of days. We're covering the news in Rockport, Texas from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom. Back to you.
Yeah, the American Red Cross here in the Bluegrass State has already sent almost 40 volunteers down to Texas. They still have a lot of more work to do, and they say that they're expecting to be sending volunteers through the end of the year and are encouraging anyone to sign up to volunteer. Even though they're only sending those seasoned volunteers right now, they expect that down the line they will be sending new volunteers. So far, the Red Cross has sheltered nearly 6,000 people in Texas. The American Red Cross says they learned a lot from Hurricane Katrina and are treating Hurricane Harvey very differently.
I think our response efforts are stronger. We have more supplies than we had during that time. Right now, we're prepared to shelter at least 34,000 people and individuals and have supplies for those people and individuals.
And if you don't have time to volunteer, you can still donate by texting the word Harvey to 90999. Covering the news in Lexington from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom, back to you.
When thinking of hurricane victims, the mind immediately goes to the people of the community. But even first responders share in that pain. After all, this is home.
I've got officers that have lost everything. A quarter of my department has either lost their entire homes or suffered significant loss and damage to their homes.
Everyone affected, including the first responders, are grateful for any help that they can get.
I can't even begin to express these people that are coming into my home and saying, we got this, go take care of your people. There's no words. I can never repay that debt. Never repay that debt.
Well, the saying goes, it takes a community. But after a storm like Hurricane Harvey, it's clear that it will take a nation to help the victims get back on their feet. We're covering the news from Port Aransas, Texas, from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom. Back to you.
Once they get to Texas, firefighters say they're primarily going to be focused on water rescues. That requires a lot of equipment, and they're taking that equipment with them. Take a look. This is just one of the trailers that is packed with things that they will need. We've got everything from life jackets to paper towels to water bottles. Firefighters say they got the call last night for help, and this morning they packed their bags, got all of their equipment ready, and got briefed on the mission ahead of them.
Operates in environments with or without infrastructure.
They're prepared to spend 9 days in College Station, Texas, and while the team is gone, firefighters staying here in Lexington say they'll be worried about the crew.
Just to be honest with you, I didn't sleep very well last night. It's often joked that I'm kind of like the mother, and it's kind of like you worry about your kids, and I will be really worried until they get back and I know everybody's safe.
And out of the team of 18 that's heading down to Texas, many of them, this will be their first time working a mission like this. But some of them, they actually helped out when Hurricane Katrina hit more than 10 years ago, and they say that is something they'll never forget. Coming up here, more about that. Covering the news in Lexington from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom, back to you.
Overnight, these Kentucky Air National Guardsmen packed up and shipped off to the areas hit hardest by Harvey. They left the Commonwealth with many details still unknown.
We don't know how long we'll be gone for. I ran out to Walmart. I think I grabbed some granola bars, some almonds.
What they knew for sure is that they were headed down there to help, but exactly how they will assist in rescue efforts was up in the air.
I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm also pretty excited to go down and help out.
We've been ready to go since Sunday when the talk started. We're anxious to just get there now.
As soon as they arrived in the early hours of the morning, they got straight to work. They joined a small group of guardsmen who have already been out to neighborhoods in the Houston area, helping rescue people from the flooding, some stranded on their roofs. The guardsmen were ready to hit the ground running in Houston, saying flexibility is what they train for.
It's like the football player that practices all week and gets ready to play on Friday night. I mean, it's game time for us.
Covering the news, Tiffany Jackson, LEX 18 News.
When it comes to a natural disaster of this magnitude, communities need all the help that they can get. Humble heroes outside of the storm's path have put their lives on hold in order to bring aid, comfort, and a little normalcy to the victims of Hurricane Harvey.
We're actually a 5-store franchise running from Mission to Brownsville, and everyone kind of just put a little bit of their, their token to help out, and got all these products, head out at 4 in the morning. Got here at 8, and we're setting up a pancake stand. We're also, if you can see, we're also giving out waters, and I mean, we're just really just trying to help out the community here in Rockport.
Through donations from Denny's all around Brownsville, Texas, Daniel and his crew were able to afford supplies to help with the relief. And what struck me the most about Daniel is he told me that even when the storm was going to bear down on his community, he was already making plans to help those that were going to need it. Covering the news in Rockport, Texas, from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom, back to you.
Who do I make it out to?
By any means necessary.
What I do with this?
We'll put it right over here in the bucket for you. You are fantastic. People here in Lexington, touched by the coverage of Hurricane Harvey, are stopping by to give.
I'm glad it ain't us, but I hate it's them.
Common feeling, heartache for those who've lost everything, and a desire to do something, anything, to help.
I just
feel so blessed to be part of this country and feel that people are giving and supporting each other and helping those who are in need. I just hope it continues after the flood, too.
And so many are giving much more than their money, but also their thoughts and prayers.
Lexington is reaching out to you. We're showing not just sympathy, but we're showing that we're ready to help.
Stay encouraged. Things will get to an end, and we're there to help you when it gets there.
A show of support to let our friends in the Lone Star State, our fellow Americans, know that Kentucky has their back.
The damage here in Port Aransas, Texas is catastrophic. One of the areas hardest hit by Hurricane Harvey. And it's clear after seeing the damage so far today that this community will need all of the help that they can get.
The destruction is unimaginable until you see it in person. Houses and businesses in an entire community put offline with no timeline for recovery. The people coming back home need the essentials for survival.
Power and water. Water is more important than anything. It's getting enough water to be able to clean our homes, to get the sewage and it's mold smell, mildew.
But when hearing of the relief efforts across the nation, the response is the same from everyone we talk to.
Thank God for all of your help out here. Thank you, everybody. We need it. We need it.
Every dollar donated to Give to the Gulf will come here to communities like Port Aransas, Texas, to hopefully get them back on their feet as soon as possible. Covering the news from Port Aransas, Texas, from the LEX 18 mobile newsroom, back to you.
They came all the way from Kentucky.
It's all that little thing called faith.
Faith. It's what moved John McGinnis to travel to Texas, and it's what keeps motivating him each and every day. The self-proclaimed country boy has made a name for himself after this live TV interview on a Houston news station went viral.
I think they got the wrong guy, but I appreciate it. I'm humbled by it.
Unconcerned with his notoriety, McGinnis says he went to Houston to bless people. But as it turns out, he's been blessed more than he could have ever imagined.
I used to think for every good person there's 5 bad. Now I believe in Texas, for every bad person there's 5 good ones.
He says he'll go wherever he's needed for as long as he's needed, never counting how many people he's rescued, just praying to God he gets to just one more person in need.
My granny taught me to love people and use things, and this world's pretty much graduated to loving things and using people, but we're Kentuckians, and we love people. I just want to go home and hold my kids so tight, my wife.
The Grayson County native says he wants no thanks or praise for his actions, but in true Kentucky fashion, he does have a message for Coach Cal, just in case he's listening.
Tell Cal Perry we love him too, and we want to come watch the game.
Covering the news, Claire Crouch, LEX 18 News.
Many stranded in storm-battered communities like Rockport, Texas, are living on what they had before the storm.
Those supplies may last a week or two, but they won't last the months that this place may be without electricity, water, and even food. Erica Fell is using uncommon items to survive, like a car battery for power and a longboard to get around town.
This is the battery charger that we have, so this is how we've been able to keep our phones charged. And then on the battery right here, I ride this everywhere to get anywhere. And then if we have to go get ice, I take the bike.
Many of the donations coming in from across the country, including Lexington, will help turn that car battery into real electricity and that ride on the longboard into a vehicle to get around town. Covering the news from Rockport, Texas, from the LEX 18 mobile newsroom, back to you.
While rainfall totals are expected throughout the state, western Kentucky is especially going to be hit hard, according to emergency officials, and they say they challenge anyone to find a storm that spread across the U.S. just like Hurricane Harvey.
Experts say what makes this storm dangerous, the amount of mileage it's already traveled. And now tonight, rain from that tropical depression will fall on Kentucky soil. The rain could be severe, anywhere from 2 to 6 inches in western Kentucky. But for those that won't see flash flooding, they say it's still a somber reminder of the heartbreak on and near the Texas coast.
I've traveled through that whole area, and it's hard to imagine that. So Interstate 10 there somewhere just looked like a sea. It was just gone.
Be prepared, have a plan, check on your neighbor.
You're seeing all kinds of acts of kindness that occurred all throughout the Houston effort, and basically we want to carry that over.
Now, the director says no matter what month it is in Kentucky, some part of the state will see some flooding. This is different because with Harvey, the flooding could be unpredictable and dangerous for many neighborhoods. Covering the news in Franklin County from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom. Back to you.
10 horses alone are staying in this barn at the Kentucky Horse Park while their home is in desperate need of help.
They have on-site deavers that's been making sure we have enough hay and shavings and grain, and the neighboring farms are letting us rent out pastures so our horses can go out on the grass and have a somewhat normal life while they're here.
Inside a stable, dry and out of the rain.
He will probably want to escape.
The struggle their home is going through weighs heavy.
It's hard to see our friends' properties flooding and horses in trouble, but everyone's coming together, trying to make sure everyone is safe and out of harm's way and none of the horses are injured.
The barn manager says their farm back in Houston is still standing, but they remain in Lexington because of the dangerous road conditions.
Everyone we know has been getting in their horse trailers and going and rescuing horses. We ourselves are stabling some evacuated horses from other barns at our farm while our horses are up here.
Reminding us all not to leave the animals behind.
The Red Cross is doing a lot of not just human rescue, but pet rescue. All the humane societies and no-kill shelters are sticking around to help all the animals, the Houston SPCA.
When times get tough, more proof the horse community comes through to help. Covering the news in Lexington from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom, back to you.
Good evening from Port Aransas, Texas. Conroy Deluche meteorologist Seth Phillips. And Seth, we've seen the destruction firsthand all week. What did you take away from it?
It's the grand scale. It's the size of the destruction here. Everywhere you go, you see it. It's total. And I've been through hurricanes before. I've seen destruction, but this is on a completely different level.
But already people are trying to jump in to help from here and also from Kentucky. How can they help?
The best way to do it, give to the Gulf. You've probably been seeing on LEX 18's Facebook page. You've seen it on their website. Every dollar that you give to that fund will come straight to communities like here in the Coastal Bend to help with the relief effort and hopefully get the residents of these communities back on their feet as soon as possible.
Yes, and thank you everybody who did contribute this week. For Seth Phillips, I'm Conroy Deluche. Thanks for watching.